Can the Texans get their rushing attack going again? And who exactly is in charge of that BS? Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans as they host the Denver Broncos on Sunday in what is an incredibly important matchup for the AFC playoff picture. The Texans aren't eliminated from the playoffs by any means if they don't take care of business against the Broncos, but making sure you're in the playoffs will be extremely difficult if you can't take care of business against Denver. Not only would they own the tiebreaker against you, and looking at their schedule, they should keep playing some pretty decent football with the opponents they have left on their schedule. Not only would they own the tiebreaker against you, should you have the same record, you're already out of the playoff picture heading into this week of NFL action. You'll drop further out of the picture if you don't beat the Denver Broncos. So how do you go about beating the Denver Broncos? Running the football is going to be a big key. And the Texans look to have figured things out on the ground a couple of weeks ago. You think back to Cincinnati and Arizona, where Devin Singletary was gliding across the field. Two of the best rushing performances we've seen from a Texans player in a long time. The offensive line was opening up gigantic holes for him to run through. And even when the hole wasn't big, they were finishing their blocks and getting Singletary and company just enough space to get through it. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars game happened. The running backs were an afterthought. They didn't run the football. And when they did run the football, they didn't run the football well. And that was something that was disappointing to see. Disappointing to not see, really, the emphasis on the rushing attack after the success they had against Cincy and Arizona. Now, I know Jacksonville, a much better rush defense than those previous two teams, but to not even really try it, to only give it 11 tries with the running backs in that game, that wasn't good enough. So I wanted to know from Bobby Slowick this week, why exactly did the running backs only carry the ball 11 times?
Of a lot of things, right? Like I've talked about this before. Some of it's influenced by the defensive structure. Some of it's influenced by, matchups we like or how our quarterback's playing. Some of it's influenced by how the run game is going. So I think there's a mixture there. In particular, when we got down and the way our quarterback was playing, particularly off schedule, there was a lot of trust in there to let him go out and try to string drives together and move us down the field.
Slowick also mentioned that they were really bad on third down, which exasperated their desire and issues to run the football. Obviously, they lost Titus Howard in the game, though I do believe Juice Scruggs is probably a better run blocker from that left guard spot than Titus Howard is. But Slowick mentioned that along with issues on third down from them not running the football. He said he just trusts C.J. Stroud to go out there and take care of business. He trusts their quarterback, but he wanted to make clear, hey, the rushing attack is still very important to me, and we're going to work to get that thing fixed.
No, I think that's 1,000%. I mean, I think I've voiced many times, how important the run game is. Like when you can stay on schedule in the run game, how much that opens up play pass and stuff that it's going to be, you're going to have more guys in protection. It's going to be sounder in protection. You can push the ball down the field a little more in a lot of those situations. Like when those go hand in hand, that's really, to me, that's the hardest to defend. Anytime you can keep the defense off balance and they're not sure what you're going to play or what you're going to run, that's always going to be the hardest for them. We were on a good streak there running the ball for, I'd say, about 3 weeks, and we took a little bit of a step back last week. We weren't moving and displacing people like we wanted. We weren't necessarily hitting the holes like we wanted on some of the stuff. We very much have reattached to ourselves this week to try to make sure, we play Texan football again.
Reattached to themselves. That's the first time I've ever heard that. That's a unique way of saying they're focusing on running the football, and they should. The Broncos can't stop the run. And I know when you look at the Broncos stats, you think about the fact that they gave up like 350 million rushing yards to the Miami Dolphins when they got smoked, and allowed 70 points to the Dolphins earlier on this season. And yes, that does hurt the Denver Broncos, and that does skew their rush defense numbers. But over the past 3 games, the Broncos have still been really bad in yards per carry allowed. In fact, they're worse than their season average over the last 3 games. And you look at some of the opponents that they've had over the past 3, they've allowed 158 yards rushing per game, and they've let 3 rushing offenses that haven't been the most effective and impressive rushing offenses on the year really get going. Minnesota's had trouble running the football. They ran for a ton of yards against the Denver Broncos. Buffalo has not focused on James Cook and given him the rock a ton over the course of the season, and they ran the ball really well against the Denver Broncos, and most recently, the obviously Nick Chubb-less Cleveland Browns. They were able to get over 100 yards rushing when there was no threat of a passing attack. They had the backup, sometimes third backup, sometimes fourth backup quarterback. You knew they weren't going to run the foot or throw the football very well, so the run was the way they were going to move the rock. They still got over 100 yards against this Broncos defense. This is a really bad rushing attack that the Texans are going to go up against. Bobby Slowick has got to figure out how to get things going on the ground, and he's got to stay with it. The Jaguars were never blowing the Texans out in the game last week. There was never a need to fully abandon the rushing attack. Just 11 tries on the game at running the football. That's not enough. That's not enough poking and prodding to see if you can get something going, because you get just a little bit going on the ground, it starts to build and you can really put something together. The Texans didn't really give that a try. The Broncos don't have the style of offense that are going to be blowing you out, going to have this big lead. So the Texans have got to stay within themselves, commit to the run to a reasonable degree. I'm not talking about Atlanta, where it felt like they just ran the ball just to run the ball, but something closer to that Cincinnati Bengals situation, something closer to that Arizona Cardinals situation where you can rely on the rushing attack, you can use the running backs as weapons, and it helps open up so much stuff there for the offense and helps them really get after it as a total, well-functioning, well-oiled offense. To me, the best way for this offense to run is when they are on schedule and they're running plays within the system, and then you sprinkle in a little bit of that C.J. Stroud magic. Not the rely on C.J. Stroud to move the football like they did against the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Oh, by the way, the strength of Denver's defense is stopping the pass, making the passing attack a little bit easier for the Texans to execute by running the football is going to be paramount. You got to take care of the ball as well. The Denver Broncos are nasty right now when it comes to forcing turnovers. Here are their past 4 games and the turnovers that they've forced. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, they forced 3 fumbles and had 2 interceptions. Against the Buffalo Bills, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. Against the Vikings, 2 fumbles and an interception. And last week against the Browns, they forced 3 fumbles. And when I say those fumbles, that's the fumbles they recovered. They actually forced more that they didn't recover. Those are just the recovered fumbles. So you look at that over the past 4 weeks, and my goodness, is that a scary amount of turnovers that defense has forced? I wanted to know from Bobby Slowick, does the stretch that they're on, the run that they're on getting turnovers in Denver, does that change some of the things that you might do or might be available to you on offense? I thought his answer was pretty interesting. Take a listen.
Absolutely say so. You know, I think statistically now everyone in the world knows like the number one way you're going to win a game is you win the turnover battle. It's a really big deal, and everyone in the NFL's bought in and believed that, and it's proven to be true ever since it became a really big statistic. And I think it wouldn't be right if I in some way, shape, or form was not cognizant of that and didn't alter things through the course of the plan. That's not to say like you always got to have change-ups. You got to be able to disperse the ball in different parts of the field, horizontally and vertically. You know, that's how you really threaten defenses. But you're definitely more aware of where you want to do that and when you want to do that and how you want to do that. And then you also, you know, as you mentioned, you also hit the small little finer details, which we kind of hit all year, but of how you protect the ball. Where do we miss? What are we doing when we have the ball in traffic? Just kind of all that together, I think, really is a big emphasis for us this week.
Now, as I tell you all that, you hear Bobby Slowick talk about the turnovers. I think it's important to note the teams that the Broncos, played in that stretch and exactly where they are in giveaways. All 4 of those teams are bottom 9 in giveaways, including the Vikings and the Browns being 2 of the worst in all of football. Heck, even the Chiefs and the Bills are 23rd and 24th, respectively, in giveaways this season. So those teams turn the football over. Now, the logical question you're going to ask yourself is, Cody, where do the Texans rank? Fifth in giveaways overall over the course of the season. Now, they've given the ball away a little bit more over the past couple of weeks. C.J. Stroud having a 3-interception game against the Arizona Cardinals. He threw the interception against Cincinnati as well. You got to be able to take care of the football in addition to running it well. And if you do those two things, you should have a pretty darn good chance to beat the Denver Broncos and certainly put up enough points on offense so that you can take care of the Broncos from a defensive perspective, win the game, and stick around right there in that AFC playoff picture. Now, you've been seeing the banners pop up here over the course of the video, and I want to let you know about a fun sponsor that we're bringing on board here on the channel. My friends at Baram, my goodness, I love this place. Some of the best barbecue I have ever had. I love the whole vibe and atmosphere of Baram. They're down in Edo. You saw the address there on the pop-ups. And then they got some fantastic stuff. They're doing stuff that nobody else is really doing. They're not just a barbecue joint. They got this incredible outside area, beer garden that is fantastic. The bar is great as well. They got anything and everything you want to drink. The food is incredible. You get the barbecue during the day and into the evening, and then the night menu flips on some of the best wings in town. They got the giant pretzel. They'll make you the brisket cheeseburger. They've got so many different things to choose from an eating and drinking perspective. And they're doing fun stuff like Jeff Canada live Friday night, December 1st. That is absolutely fantastic. They do a ton of live music there. They do a ton of other fun stuff. I love Baram. It is a great spot. And on top of the nobody else is doing this thing, how about this? Friday, December 1st, Saturday, December 2nd, they're going with $2 wells all weekend. Get out there. The beer garden's a great place to watch football. They've got TVs for you. They'll have the $2 well drinks, the incredible food. They do brunch on Saturday and Sunday. Get out there Saturday morning, get you some beverages, get you some fantastic brunch. Man, my buddies at Baram are going to take care of you in Edo. It is a great spot. And if you're watching this on Friday, I told you about Jeff Canada, the performance, the live music gets started at 7 p.m. How about tamales? Brisket tamales, chicken tamales. They are doing big things at Baram. They're always trying new stuff, pushing the envelope when it comes to putting their barbecue into some fantastic stuff. Brisket tamales. It's a Friday, December 1st special. So if you're watching this, go out there, get you some dinner at Baram on Friday. If not, they're going to have holiday tamales for you as well. I'm really excited to welcome Baram as a sponsor and a partner here on the YouTube channel. We're going to give away some gift cards to Baram here in the coming weeks as well. Check them out down there in Edo. The live music on Fridays, Saturdays, the special events that they put out there in the beer garden. It's a great place to hang out, watch college football, watch pro football on Sundays. During Texans games, they got the tank chop, this giant pork chop. It's incredible. You'll love Baram when you check it out. When you go there, tell them Cody Stoots sent you, and you'll enjoy yourself. Incredible food, incredible drinks, incredible atmosphere, incredible spot, Baram. I appreciate them supporting the channel. I appreciate you supporting the channel as well. Throw me a thumbs up on this video. Get live in the comment section as well. What do you think is going to happen with the rushing attack on Sunday when the Texans host the Denver Broncos? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I appreciate you watching the video. I certainly enjoyed talking about this Texans team, and I can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.